Hi there, welcome to today's webinar, Deepening Community Engagement on Nextdoor. We are so excited to welcome so many folks to our webinar today, and we look forward to hearing from our guests to learn more about how Nextdoor can help your municipality connect with your residents. If you have questions, please drop those into the Q&A box as we go through today, and then time permitting, we will answer those at the end. Before we get started, just a little bit about us. Social News Desk empowers critical communicators with powerful, secure social media management and archiving software trusted by more than 10,000 professionals. We were founded in 2010, and since then we've proudly supported America's largest news companies, cities, government agencies, school districts, universities, and businesses who require powerful, always-on social media tools. And just a little bit about me. I'm Sarah Lloyd, the head of product success and evangelism here at Social News Desk. I'm based in San Antonio, Texas. I've been with the team for 11, almost 12 years, and prior to joining SND, I managed social media and worked in several newsrooms. And I was actually a Social News Desk customer before I joined the team. And today I'm pleased to welcome Joseph Porcelli, Nextdoor's Global Public Agency Life Safety and Disaster Response Lead, who's joining us today. Joseph, please go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello, neighbors. It's great to meet you. And Sarah, thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, we're always glad to have you join us.
Thanks. All right, everyone. So what I'm going to walk us through is a little bit about Nextdoor, the core platform, and how neighbors use it. And then I'm going to talk about Nextdoor for public agencies and share some of the things you need to know to be successful and deepen your engagement. And I just want to take another moment to say thank you to Sarah for having me on the webinar. We have this awesome integration with Social News Desk where you can actually post from Social News Desk, manage comments within their platform, and you can even see what neighbors are talking about, which you can't even do on Nextdoor at this point. So it's a wonderful partnership, and I'm proud to be here representing our Nextdoor and our partnership. Okay, so let's jump in. What is Nextdoor? Nextdoor is the essential neighborhood network, and people come to Nextdoor for all kinds of reasons. They're looking to find someone to fix something, to help them out with something, and they get that done. But then they realize, this is great. I'm now connected to all my neighbors. They can connect with them. They can do things with and for them. They can organize to do things together. And then when you folks come in is they check in for urgency, right? They want to know what's going on in their neighborhood. Is there that flood warning? Is there going to be another blizzard if you're on the East Coast? And hopefully you're probably not watching if you're in Rhode Island right now because they're buried under 30 some inches of snow. But Nextdoor is where lots of public agencies share critical information with the residents in their communities, because Nextdoor is a residential platform. And we help you reach lots of people in specific places. Let's go on. One of the things that differentiates Nextdoor from other social platforms is you can actually reach people who aren't on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, or X. And as you can see here, 20% of people who use Nextdoor aren't on Facebook. 34% aren't using Instagram. 53% aren't using X. So you can reach people that you're not reaching on your other social platforms. And because you can geo-target, and I'm not going to give away all my thunder this early on, into specific neighborhoods or custom areas, you can reach them in specific places. So that is very helpful as you think about the tools in your tool chest. Now, just like our neighbors, public agencies are required to communicate respectfully, and we have terms of service and guidelines for them. We also have the same thing for our neighbors. We have robust community guidelines that they have to follow. We have over 200,000 community moderators. We use machine learning to help neighbors communicate respectfully. And we have lots of other things in place, including a transparency report, which helps you see how we're doing. So as a matter of fact, only 1.23% of content was reported harmful. And it's something we really care about. We don't always get it right, but we want you to know we're working actively to make sure the experience for all neighbors and public agencies is positive and productive on our platform. Let's dig into the numbers. So about 1 in 3 people use Nextdoor in the United States. Median income is around $90,000. 76% of people are homeowners. 65% of them are parents. There's about 100 million people using Nextdoor around the world. And in fact, there's over 30,000 government communicators that use our free government platform, Nextdoor for public agencies. And that's the division of the business that I represent. So there's Nextdoor that neighbors use. There's Nextdoor that public agencies use. We even have a small business platform and an advertising platform as well. Now, there's two ways for you folks to communicate with neighbors. There's the Nextdoor for Public Agencies, which is our free government platform. All of you can have access to it. You can start a free page by going to nextdoor.com/agency. We also have an ads product. You can also get to the ads product from nextdoor.com/agency. You can run ads. The main difference is with ads, we guarantee impressions, and you can run ads to neighbors outside of your jurisdiction. So for example, if you want to do some recruiting, ads is going to be a good way to recruit people from outside the jurisdiction. Next, I'm going to start talking about the Nextdoor for Public Agency platform. Again, remember there's Nextdoor that neighbors that you may use in your neighborhood, and Nextdoor for Public Agencies is our free government platform, and these are our unique capabilities. So first is the audience is built in. So what that means is if you have 10,000 people in your jurisdiction, 1,000 people, 100,000, 5 million, however many people are using Nextdoor where you live, the audience is built in. That means they don't have to fan, like, or subscribe to receive your messages via the Nextdoor for Public Agency platform or our partnership with Social News Desk if you post from Social News Desk. So the audience is built in. It's already there. You don't have to post 15 times a day to build the audience and do all that work, which benefits some of the other platforms. We already see your content is valuable, and therefore we give you access to communicate to folks. The second thing is you can geo-target your posts. Through the Nextdoor platform, you can post to specific neighborhoods or custom areas. Custom areas can be things like flood zones or waste sanitation district zones, things like that. You can also send a message to everyone in your municipality. On Nextdoor, we also have a polling tool which helps you assess sentiment or understand what actions people have taken as a result of your communications. And I've got a couple of examples to show you as we move through our webinar. Now there's 4 post types on Nextdoor through the native platform. There's a regular post, which is a non-urgent post. People can see it right now, an hour from now, tomorrow when they log in, a week from now when they log in. A poll, I talked about that. That's a way to educate, to understand sentiment, or to measure actions people have taken. We have an alert. This is a special post type that sends out an immediate email, a push notification. It goes at the top of our algorithm, at the top of the newsfeed, and bypasses our algorithm to reach people immediately. And then there's an event, which is what you think it is. Come join us in person or participate online. So an example of doing a regular post, and that's really just to inform, right? We've got, in this particular example, hey, we've got a new speed camera that we want you to know about. And so they're giving people a heads up. Hey, you didn't tell us. Yes, we did. It's on Nextdoor, and we posted it to your specific neighborhood. And this is an example of educating via a poll. And so the question is, what is the most dangerous driving behavior you see during summer in Minnesota? And basically, they listed all the dangerous ones, but they're making people think about it. And this was a statewide post, and distracted driving was the number one thing. As you could see here, 492 people voted on this. So it's kind of a game, but it's also kind of an education, making people remember, like, hey, this is dangerous. You should probably not do it. This is an example of an alert. This was actually done during a red flag warning by Washington Emergency Management. Again, alerts create that push notification, send an immediate email, stay at the top of our news feed, and bypass our algorithm. And this is when life or property is in danger or the message just has to go out immediately. It's an incredibly powerful feature of the platform. It's not like a true emergency alert. We don't make phone calls. We don't send text messages. But on the digital side, it's very powerful. So LA CERT was using our event type to get people to come to a public safety fair and learn about CERT. So, hey, come join us at this date and time. We'd love to see you there. Now, this is new this year. We are now allowing you to see what else is being posted on Nextdoor. So in the product, you've got where you post, it's Post Composer, Post Poll, Alert, Event. Underneath that, there's different tabs. These tabs allow you to see what you're posting and others in your organization, because there is a page and there are authors on Nextdoor. You can also see what other agencies in the city are posting on their pages in agencies in my jurisdiction. All nearby agencies allows you to see, say, for example, if you're a city, what the county posted, what the state posted, what the city or county next to you has posted. Gives you some more of that situational awareness. And we also allow you to see what all of our publishing partners are sharing on Nextdoor. And those are TV stations, local newspapers, so on and so forth. And then we also have something with perspectives that didn't fit into the screenshot here. But these are conversations that we're initiating on Nextdoor based on conversations neighbors are having, trying to bring the greater community together around that topic. We also have an alert map. And alerts come from our alerting partners, such as Weather Channel, PowerOutage.us, USGS, who am I forgetting here? Samdesk.io, and Waze for traffic alerts. And this allows you and neighbors to see all the things that are happening. Now, as a public agency, as the authority, we wanted to give you visibility to this so you can comment on it. You can add context if you need to. You can repost that information. So we're giving you more of a 360-degree view of all the content that's being shared by you, by other public agencies, and by our alerting partners. One thing I will call out, and this is solved by Social News Desk, is that we don't actually let you see what neighbors are talking about through the interface. Social News Desk, I believe, is the only partner that allows you to see that. So they have a little tab within Social News Desk, and it shows you all the trending conversations and that are happening on the platform, which can be really helpful for situational awareness. So that's some of the tactical things that we offer. I want to get into some of the strategies and tactics here that are going to help you deepen your engagement and reach lots of people and improve that service delivery. Let's jump in. So on Nextdoor, because that audience is built in, it's really you've got to focus on what neighbors want, right? And what that means is you got to aim to increase satisfaction and trust by delighting your neighbors with timely and locally relevant content. Let me dive into what that really means for a second. So there's a public affairs, what I call air game communication. These are telling your story, sharing the good work that you're doing that the public needs to know. That's important. But on Nextdoor, because remember all those people are auto-subscribed, it's okay to do some of that. But the majority of your communications should be about what is happening in your neighborhood that you need to know about, or you want to know about, or you need to take some kind of specific action around. So I've sort of broken this out into 5 themes for you. First, tell them what's happening and how things will impact them and what programs and resources are available, right? The bridge at such and such is closed because the river is flooding, or we're doing work on it, or whatever that is, or we're closing the park down because we're putting in a new basketball court, whatever that is, right? And if there's a problem, tell them what you're doing about it and the progress that's being made and how they can help. The 4th thing here is you want to take time to answer their questions and respond with thoughtful responses. Now, of course, I understand you may not have a lot of capacity, but you got to make those judgments. Where is this really going to be impactful? Because remember, when you respond to one person, everybody can see that. So that's like providing customer service and demonstrating care to the majority of your residents. Now, it's okay not to have the answer. You say, hey, I'm going to need to get back to you on that. I don't see people doing that enough. Sometimes they just walk away, but that's really important. That also builds trust. And then using our poll features, you want to measure what actions people have taken as a result of your communications. You want to assess their satisfaction. And you also want to understand, like, hey, did you do any of these things that we suggested? The next thing is you want to drive conversations as conversations drive reach. So Nextdoor is a free platform for you folks and for neighbors, and what supports our business is engagement and conversation. So along with that public affairs air game, it's okay to do some of that. It's okay sometimes just to push out information. You got to do it. I totally get it. But to be successful on the platform, you want to always have that call to action, right? What do you think about this? What has your experience been? What advice would you give to others? Whatever that call to action is that drives conversation will help you deepen your engagement and reach more people on our platform. So one of the things that is aligned with this is you've got a lot of people's attention. Remember, that audience is built in. You can geo-target that message where it matters most. It's important to give people as much information as you can. Sometimes people will just post, here's some information about this thing going on in your neighborhood, click this link. The average click-through rate on the internet is only 2%. You've got all these people's attention. Give them everything they need to know. That's really important. You want to include those calls to action, and we do give you the ability to close comments if things go off the rail, but you should not do that on purpose. You almost might as well not post on Nextdoor if you do that. You can also seed comments. You can post a series of questions as a comment, or you can add additional information in comments that will drive conversations under each comment. And we're seeing that actually be pretty helpful. You can also view content by other agencies and our alerting partners and news publishers that I showed you earlier, and participate in there to participate in the ecosystem of neighbor information, if you will. You can also repost those messages and repost your messages or other agencies' messages to amplify that important information on the platform. Okay, we're going to get into some tactical things that we also know make a difference. Now, on Nextdoor, there's a page, right? You're used to seeing, city of whatever Facebook page. On Nextdoor, there's the city of whatever, but then there are individual communicators that post on the page on behalf of that organization. So if you look closely here under Louisville Metro Police Department, it says Sergeant Ross Whitney representing that. You can have multiple authors on Nextdoor. You can even assign different people to specific service areas. So if you're a large police department, you have your district commander and all your community policing officers. You can have profiles and just communicate in those areas. In this particular example here, it's important to present yourself in a neighborly way. You can have something more generic like public information team, which is okay, but generally people want to hear from other individuals on Nextdoor. You wouldn't go to a community meeting and represent yourself as the city of whatever, right? You would represent yourself as Joseph Porcelli from the city of, what the name of the city you work for. Okay, next I'm going to jump into some of our crisis comms and alerting guidance. As you folks know, we're seeing many more disasters, more frequency and intensity and severity and volume over the last couple of years, so this particularly matters. First thing is you want to make sure Nextdoor is baked into your crisis communications and community engagement plans. You want to have at least 2 people who are administrators of your page. This was taken a couple years ago. This is some friends of mine, Julie Parker and Cece from, they were at the time Prince George's County Police Department. Julie has since moved on and done some great crisis comms consulting. When you post an alert, you want to do the following things. And actually, let me just go over what this does again. I know I've mentioned it a couple times, but number one, alerts bypass our algorithm. So it goes to as many people as possible. Number 2, alerts create a push notification in our app. They send out an immediate email and they are stored at the top of our news feed. So it is the fastest, most powerful way to reach as many people on Nextdoor as possible. See in the example on the right here, the alert is the 3rd post type button. So instead of just one post, you've got 4 buttons on Nextdoor to choose from. Now, when you do, when the question then becomes, under which circumstances do you post an alert? So unplanned road, bridge closures, utility disruptions, interruptions, missing or endangered person. In fact, NEMIC, the National Center for Missing and Endangered Children, will email me and ask me to push out information on the platform when a child with autism has wandered off. Doesn't qualify for an Amber Alert, but you can do that on Nextdoor. I always like to call that out because I have a kid and always want to make sure the kid's home. Or gets home safely, I should say. Silver or blue alerts, weather watches, advisories, shelter evacuations, openings, all the kinds of things that you need your community to know right now is going to be when you post an alert. And some best practices are, you always want to include the date and time at the top of the alert. It is time-stamped already, but that seems to really help people. After the alert or the thread is over, you want to close down that discussion. It kind of shuts it off and people know they can't comment anymore. You want to have an update. The situation has resolved. That's really important. If you do have an update, we recommend doing that after 30-minute increment. Post another alert. Otherwise, you can just put update at the top. Again, time and date. and then the information you need to see. And then some other basic things like, geo-target, so it's locally relevant. Let's go on. Now, along those lines, when you're looking at content from other local agencies, publishers, perspectives, whatever else it is, and you're looking at that alert map, there's some things you can think about doing. And I'm spending more time calling this out in these webinars. At this point, we would click on the alert map. We're at the alert map. We can see what's going on. We're going to gain situational awareness. We're going to understand what else is being shared. We can offer context that may be missing. We can provide updates. You may probably have more information than other folks do. You can provide it on those alerts because people are looking at those. You can also share your perspective. I'm being a little political here. Maybe this has to do with what publishers might put out. It might be another county or state agency that has a different perspective of yours, but you can state your facts. You can articulate your authority here if information is missing or isn't presented in a way that you and your leadership feels is accurate. And of course, you can repost to amplify. This is a document that's going to be shared with you as a follow-up to this webinar. I just track all these different sources that I find really helpful. And I thought maybe you might find it helpful too. These are just things I use to find situational awareness. And all these things are free as well. You don't have to pay for any of this. So just been building it over the years and thought you might appreciate it.
Yeah, Joseph, we'll have a QR code for that at the end of the webinar today if people want to screenshot it.
Awesome. And if you have anything to add, please shoot Sarah an email so she can send it to me so I can add it. Kind of like a community thing. We'll build it together. Thank you, Sarah.
Yep.
Okay. So we're going to get into some more tactical things on maximizing reach and engagement on Nextdoor. So as we jump into this, this should not be a surprise to you. Videos work well on all social platforms, including Nextdoor, right? So videos tend to have a lift of about 100% plus. You definitely want to have a picture if you don't have a video. And by the way, your video should be almost like you're walking around the neighborhood or you're doing it at your desk. The more produced videos, neighbors sometimes looks more like an ad. So you kind of want to be authentic, just like you're right there in the living room with them, like making that announcement. So, if you want to have the flag behind you, that's fine. But it's just better to be you in a casual environment because that fits the neighbor sphere ecosystem, if you want to call it that. Here's some image and video specs. So 1x1 or 16:9 work for both images and videos. The thing I'll call out here, minimum size on images is 800x800. Videos, they can't be larger than 500 megabytes. There's some tools like QuickTime that can compress it for you. If you just can't do that, you can link to a video URL on YouTube or Vimeo or other platforms. As long as it's the video URL, it will render in the platform. And for the time being, until I know we need to meet that deadline of April for ADA compliance, for right now for alt text, just put alt text at the bottom of your post in this image describes such and such. But soon we will be offering that on the platform. Okay. Now, I've mentioned this already before, but comments. 75% more engagement when comments are allowed. We are a conversational platform. It supports our business model here, and you want to engage with people in the comments. You do not want to close them by default. You want to ask questions and invite neighbors to share their experience. As you probably know, trusted messengers, people seeing themselves in each other, those personal experiences really make a difference on Nextdoor. Now, this might blow your mind. It actually turns out posts with 300 to 500 comments or greater actually perform the best on Nextdoor. We are not the fastest platform out there. Although when you do post alerts, you've learned today that you're going to reach a ton of people. But longer posts tend to do well because people come to Nextdoor to find out what is going on. Put all that content in front of them, break it up so it's easy to read. You don't want like a long paragraphs, use emojis sparingly to break things up and make them stand out. But this works well on Nextdoor. Now, when you have comments, we know comments can be challenging. They're challenging on all platforms right now. There's a couple choices you can make here. You can remind them about our community guidelines. You got to be kind and respectful. You can remind them about your social media policies. You can report comments to us on Nextdoor. There's 3 little buttons. Click it, click report, and there's a way to report that to us. You can remove the comment at your discretion from the view. We do have It's saved, so you can pull that from the Nextdoor archive under the content and engagement report. And Sarah, I believe you guys now offer archiving. Am I correct about that?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, good. I didn't want to call you out there if that wasn't true.
Yep.
And then you can pull all this. So you're removing it. It's not going away forever. You're still compliant there. You can link to sources of truth. And if needed, you can close the comment. Now, if things go totally off the rail, our algorithm will actually close the comment down too, because we want to protect people's experience on the platform. You should know, though, that you can also reopen it at any choice, at any time, if you wish. Now, we may also remove or hide comments. We may close the comment thread as well. So the criteria for that has to do with the number of reports, the size of the geography, the type of the violation, and a couple other things. It's not like a clean and cut formula, but just know that that could happen. All right, so how often should you post? We think about 3 or 4 times a week makes sense on Nextdoor. Now, if you have a major incident, like if I'm the city of Providence right now, I'd probably be posting multiple alerts a day, letting people know, what they need to know, go help their neighbor, here are the warming shelters, here's stores that have food, all that kind of fun stuff. Post till your heart's out. But generally, 3 or 4 times a week makes sense. I don't know if I just said 3 or 4 times a day. If I did, I meant to say 3 or 4 times a week. But here's the thing. When you post, you're training our algorithms like, hey, is this person a really good communicator? Is this content really resonating? So less than that, if you don't have a lot of capacity, that's okay. Know that the audience will continue to grow as it's grown before you and will continue to grow with you or after if you, for some reason, choose to stop posting on Nextdoor. But this is what we find to be the sweet spot. I'm trying to say, like, if you only want to use Nextdoor and post once a week, that's okay too. Geo-targeting your post, that's kind of key for us. People want to know what's happening in their neighborhood. Don't think I need to go into that much more. We do give you the ability to set a location in the app. That just makes it like, if I see a pin down the street from me, like, oh, wow, it's going to jump out at me a little bit more. Now, if you're communicating in multiple languages, we recommend English first, and then the second most spoken language after that. Next, if you're wondering, hey, what really does resonate with my neighbors on Nextdoor? This comes from my Gov delivery days. I stood up their professional services practice over a decade ago there. And one of the things we always recommend is, what are the top 10 visited web pages? What are the top categories that people are calling 311 about, right? Like, what do we know people care about? Your communications reflect that. And it tends to go pretty well on Nextdoor. Okay. Getting into polls here. This is one of my favorite topics. Polls allow you, again, to educate, to understand sentiment, and understand actions people taken. So in this example here, I'm recommending that you post a quarterly poll to understand what would people find most helpful, right? People guess. You're trying to figure this out. Don't. Ask your community. But you got to be smart about this. You only want to list the things you know you have the time and you have the information to post about, right? So you do this, and you can see here, for this particular agency, they wanted to know neighborhood crime reports. That was the number one thing. It actually surprised them. But when they started using Nextdoor, they started doing that, and neighbors were like, oh, this is awesome. Thanks so much. This is what we really wanted to know. Now, another thing with polls is after the poll is done and everybody's weighed in, repost that poll and add some context. Hey, everybody, thanks for participating in the poll. And this is actually from Louisville Waste District. Karen said plastic shopping bags are considered the worst contaminant by our local recycling facility, but clothing, food, liquid, house cards are also bad. So basically she's asking, what should you not recycle? And she's reinforcing that by reposting the poll. Think of it as like closing the loop. Next, you want to cross-reference your poll results on your other social channels. This was actually done by Corey Deirdroff. I don't know. I just spoke to him the other week. I haven't heard from him for years. Anyway, irrelevant. But I so love what he did here. What he did is he recorded him talking about the poll results. They're on the right-hand side of the screen. He projected them on the wall. And he's got a picture of his smoke detector. This was a smoke alarm poll, excuse me. And then he did a Facebook Live video of this recording, talked about the poll results on Nextdoor, educated the Facebook Live audience, and then took the Facebook URL of his post on Nextdoor on Facebook and posted it on Nextdoor as the recap. Super smart, leveraging 2 strands of 2 different platforms and educating both of those audiences. Okay, this is, I think, one of the most impactful things you can do with polls on the platform. As a result of our communications on Nextdoor, have you taken any of the following actions, right? Have enough food for 7 days. These are preparedness actions that Florida Emergency Management suggested. And look at the numbers here. 40% of people said, I've taken some of these actions, and 32% said they took all. They've never had this data before across the state. Thousands of people participated in this poll. For context, the FEMA household survey the sample size is only 5,000 people. Here in Florida, they got almost 3,000 people, right? And what's neat about these poll results is you can actually download them and see them by your either neighborhoods or custom service areas. So in Florida, they saw the results by each county, which is particularly helpful for them. One of the things, I'm just going to go into this for a moment, is preparedness is hard to do. And preparedness often doesn't get a lot of attention. So does crime prevention or fire prevention, because it's hard to measure the impact. If you're doing a bunch of posts on Nextdoor and you do this poll and you ask, as a result of our communications, you'll get qualitative data out of that. You could say, hey, this is why I spent a week on this project, because 300 people told me that they are now doing this and they weren't before because we communicated on Nextdoor. I think that's really impactful. You can download your poll results by, as I just mentioned, by neighborhoods or by your service areas, which lets you see that breakdown. And you can do that by the top right of your screen. You just click the download options you want, which is pretty helpful to do. And then for some event best practices here, you want to give people plenty of heads up. We recommend 4 weeks. It's probably going to be more, honestly, like a week or two. But posting an event, hey, tonight at 7 o'clock, come join us for a community meeting. Sure, let me cancel all my plans. Let me not take my kid to dance. Let me not make dinner for my family, right? You guys know that's not going to work. Give them lots of advance warning. Maybe this is a pet peeve of mine. Probably. But please give your folks some advance warning here. The next thing is when you're promoting that meeting or event, you want to tell people, why does it matter? Why should you change your routine to attend? What information is going to be shared? What feedback is going to be gathered? How is that going to be used? How is that going to be weighted against other feedback? When will the decision be made? How are we going to continue to communicate with you? Right? You really got to sell it. And then here's the other thing. Never in the history of time has anybody ever woken up, nudged their partner and be like, hey, boo, I get to go to a community meeting tonight. It's not something the public looks forward to, right? So you're going to get some people to your community meeting, your diehards. That's awesome. But what about the 100 or the thousands of other people that won't show up? Do your meeting, and then post a recap. Here's what I shared. Here's a link to my slides. Here are the top 5 questions I got. Here are the answers. If you have a question about something that I shared or it's important to you, respond here and I'll get back to you as soon as I can, right? Great to get people in person. More realistically, you're going to engage a lot more of them digital. So take that time to post that recap and answer those questions. Okay, getting closer here. So understanding reporting on metrics and best practices. So quantitatively, at the bottom of every post, you're going to see the number of reactions, comments, and impressions. This is just going to give you a sense of about how many people did I reach, okay, and how many people engaged. You'll see that on each of your posts. You can see this is the content and engagement report. You go to metrics on the left-hand side, click on the content and engagement tab. You can run it for a specific period of time. This will help you answer questions like how many times did we post, or how many times did all of us all of us across our team post? Which districts didn't get posts? Which was the top performing post? Which were the group of top performing posts? And that'll inform what we communicate in the future, because we can see some quantitative metrics here of what's resonating most with our residents. This is also how you will see on the Nextdoor side any comments or posts that you've taken down that are recorded. So you could also use this, for example, for FOIA requests, but you got to do all this manual work. If you have the social news desk archiving solution, it's probably a much easier way to get that. Let's keep going here. On the metrics tab, you're going to be able to see how many members have joined Nextdoor, and you can also see that by all your custom areas or by neighborhoods. So you'll see this fake image here. This is a county of Milky Way. It's like a practice account we use. There's 15,000 members. And the second number here is the number. Oh, The second number here is the number of people have joined in the last 30 days. So it's just a good way to understand how many people are how many people are on Nextdoor and how fast it's growing. All right, let's dive into some of our resources and support here. The first thing is we have some automated ways to share content now. We have a share plugin, so if you have a blog, people can share that, or you can put it on your website. They can share their web pages, and when they click that share button, it just posts it to Nextdoor. So it just makes it easier for people to amplify your messages. We have integration with social media management tools like Social News Desk. What's up, Sarah and team? So that's why we're here today. We're very excited about that. We also have a custom publish API, which allows you to show some of your posts on your website. And if, for example, you have a website that you're set up, it can also post down to Nextdoor. Let's see what else here. We have a help center, what you would expect. Just go to help.nextdoor.com. There's step-by-step instructions on how to get to things. And then we also have this resource hub. And this is actually something I'm very proud of. I've been working on this for the last couple of years. The resource hub has webinars that we've done ourselves that we highlight how people are using the platform. We do some crisis communication work. We also have on-demand online courses where you can learn about all the different features of Nextdoor. And I made them really short and sweet, so it's not a lot of like music and wasting your time. It just jumps right in. Here's how to post. Here's how to do a poll. Here's what you need to know about alerts, all that kind of stuff. And they're short videos. I think the longest one is like 7 minutes. So jump in there and get the the product education you need. We also have a content library. And at the bottom of the screenshot here, there's collections. I've organized things. These are basically pre-written suggested posts. And it comes from things we've written or we've written with like the National Fire Prevention Association, for example. The NFPA, yes. Many of our fire prevention posts we wrote with them. And all the images either come from a federal agency, a nonprofit that's given us permission, or frankly, I've just taken a ton of pictures from around my house. So like you're welcome to use it. And you can get there by going to nextdooragencies.com. Even if you choose not to move forward with Nextdoor, I've made this available because I just think it's a good service to the community. All right, let's keep going. And to get to our resource hub, you can see like the content library is public, so you don't need to have a Nextdoor credentials to see those suggested posts I just talked about. But the courses and the webinars we do, you do need to sign in. And to do that, you get there from the product. So you have your Nextdoor page. At the bottom left, there's a little red circle. Click on the resource hub and then sign in with your Nextdoor credentials. That is how you're able to log in and take our courses and join our webinars. And I'll just wrap up real quickly here, just talk briefly about our ads. The main difference is we do guarantee impressions. It's just a push. There's no conversation. And you can target by zip code, city, DMA, demographic or interest. So like spring will be coming eventually. I hope. Winter's been too long, but you might want to do a campaign about grill safety, right? And you want to reach anybody who's mentioned like grilling hot dogs, hamburgers, or I don't know how that all works, but basically it lets you target a little bit better. All right. Some links and resources for you guys. If you want to get started, simply go to nextdoor.com/agency, fill out the form. We pre-verify that you are in fact a government communicator, so there is no unverified public agencies on Nextdoor. If you have questions, you go to help.nextdoor.com. And if you wanted to send us any custom areas, this bit.ly link will take you there. You can also just go to help.nextdoor.com, toggle to public agencies, and just type in custom areas, and you'll find those instructions as well.
Thank you so much, Joseph. That's super helpful. And I'm going to pop my slides back up and just walk through a couple of the features that we have within Social News Desk that support Nextdoor. So, of course, you mentioned the Nextdoor publishing, which is probably the biggest integration. You can publish and schedule to your Nextdoor agency page from a single dashboard that's side by side with Facebook, X, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, Threads, Blue Sky, TikTok. So everything else you can post all at once if you'd like. And of course, scheduling those posts in advance can be really helpful to make sure you're hitting those 3 to 4 posts a week. You can also publish content to your entire service area, or you can customize the location by searching for a location or dropping a pin on the map and choosing a radius of as little as 1 mile or as much as 100 miles. You can also use our AI Assist tool in Post Composer to generate post content suggestions for those times when you might need a little bit of inspiration to get started writing a post. And then, of course, you alluded a little bit to our search and listen integration. So Nextdoor is integrated with our search and listen tool, which also supports Facebook, X, and Instagram. But the Nextdoor integration allows you to see what neighbors are saying in any municipality, whether you live there or not. So if you live outside of your service area and you want to see what residents inside your service area are saying, you can use the Nextdoor search and listen tool to see that content. You can get down to the neighborhood insights to search through what neighbors are posting anywhere in the country. And just like with the publishing, you can search for the location, or you can drop a pin on the map and take that radius from 1 mile up to 100 miles. And of course, if you want to see what nearby agencies are talking about, you can do that right inside Social News Desk as well. You can use the agency feed to see all agencies within a state, or you can select the agencies that matter most to you. And it's a great way to keep tabs on your partners in the wider community, or even get content ideas for your own Nextdoor page. And the Nextdoor state feed allows you to monitor all agencies in your state, so you're always in the know about what's happening statewide. And finally, with SND Archive, you can also capture your Nextdoor posts for retention and open records requests. SND Archive, I believe, may be still the only social media archiving tool that supports Nextdoor archival. So it makes it really easy to search through your posts. So you can find everything, you can create cases out of that, generate reports that you want to share with your residents who have made those requests. Connecting Nextdoor to Social News Desk is super easy. You can onboard your account alongside your other social networks and then assign the accounts to selected users in SND. And then assigned users can then easily publish to your agency page without having to share sensitive passwords or have a ton of people have direct access to that page. And keep in mind that the person who onboards the account will be listed as the author of your page's Nextdoor posts via SND. And if you missed Joseph's list of situational awareness resources, or you want the actual links, you can scan the QR code here on the screen, or you can screen capture it for later to download that full list. We built a one sheet. It has all of those links. It's a great resource. So I would definitely grab that. And we'll also be sending that out after the webinar today. So to learn more about the integration between Nextdoor and Social News Desk, as well as the rest of our powerful social media management and archiving tools, visit socialnewsdesk.com/government, or you can email us at info@socialnewsdesk.com, and we'll be happy to schedule a demo with you. All right, before we get into our Q&A, again, if you'd like more information, you can reach out to sales@socialnewsdesk.com. You can also start a free 2-week trial at socialnewsdesk.com/demo, and our friendly team will be more than happy to help you out. So now let's get into some Q&A, and I believe I saw a couple of questions. All right, so our first question: I live in the community and have a Nextdoor account, but I never see any of our agency posts, and I also struggle to search and find our agency. How can we get more people to see what we're posting on Nextdoor if they can't find us? Joseph, I'm going to kick that over to you.
Yeah, sure. So I'm going to remind folks that if there's a very urgent post, you need to use the alert post type, because the alert post type bypasses our algorithm. It creates that push notification, sends that immediate email. That's the number one thing you need to know during major events, disasters, incidents where the message just can't wait. Number two, we have a bug with our search right now. So search is not working properly. So I'll just call that out. We are also, there's lots of experiments and changes happening in the algorithm right now. So we are working on understanding what people really want. And this is kind of, I spent some time earlier talking about the air game and the ground game. Those ground game conversational posts we do see perform much better. So there are some times, though, where we're not quite getting that right at the moment. We're looking at that and making some adjustments as we can, but we're constantly experimenting and learning.
All right, great. All right, so here's a question about Social News Desk. Is it now an option to target posts to specific neighborhoods? I know you said we can select via pin drop or radius, but how about selecting a specific neighborhood? That's a great question. So not yet. I need to check and see if that's available in the API. I think it is. And if so, that is definitely something we can build into the platform, but I will have to double check that for you. All right. How do we handle negative comments or misinformation on Nextdoor?
Oh gosh, well I think that's applicable to frankly all platforms. I think the first thing is you need to understand your capacity and posture as an organization, right? So there's what I mean by that is like sometimes somebody's way off the rails, you're not going to change their mind. Like we know that. But what you can do is you can always point to factual information, sources of truth. I think that's really helpful. You have to decide whether or not it's worth engaging, though. I find, especially with life or death situation, misinformation, always the more consistent you are in your posting and answering folks, it kind of, you build this trust and reputation. So constantly referring to factual sources, taking time to answer people's questions when they're being reasonable makes a lot of sense. And it is okay to ignore stuff that's just wild and bonkers. Now, let's just say that Sarah's a PIO and she posts stuff, and I'm in there, and I'm always just off the walls, and I'm distracting Sarah. Sarah can go and click on my profile. You click on the profile name, and then on the page there's a little caret or 3 little dots. And Sarah can report me to Nextdoor for what there's like a soapboxing version or constantly sharing misinformation. And our team will actually go and look and be like, what's up with Joseph? Does he need a hug or do we need to just suspend him, right? So we will deal with that for you. And I highly recommend you using that. And if that is happening, we do take that signal very seriously because we care.
Yeah, that's good to know. And I find that, other social networks kind of work the same way. If you get in there, respond to, comments, then amplify the folks that are, helping you share information versus sharing disinformation. That's just a great way to, like you said, develop that trust and really show that you're paying attention to what's going on.
Yeah, let me take that one step further because you just reminded me of something. Years ago when I used to work for the Boston Police Department, I would go to all these night meetings and I would consistently show up. I would consistently answer questions and I would take down questions where I didn't know the answer and I would get back to people. I earned their trust and rapport, right? So like, I guess I made this point earlier, but like I call this caring out loud with the capacity you have, because I know everybody's really stretched very thin these days, but that really, I think, does matter. And you'll start seeing as you do more of that, your community will come to your rescue and be like, hey, hold on a second here.
Right? Yeah, absolutely. All right. So you mentioned about the new ADA requirements coming up in April and advised to include alt text under your caption. How do you feel about open versus closed captioning for videos posted? And Joseph, do you know if closed captioning is supported on videos on Nextdoor?
I don't know the answer to that question. I will get back to you.
Okay, great.
Whoever asked that question, thank you. I'm going to double check.
I'll make sure to connect you guys. All right. So how often should we post to Nextdoor, and what's the best time of day?
That slide earlier, our general recommendation is a couple times a week, 3 to 4 times a week. There really isn't a best time of day. The data does clearly show Sundays people are like having brunch and sleeping in, so I would avoid Sundays.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I can tell you also within Social News Desk, if you go into Post Manager and filter for your Nextdoor account, you can see a heat map of the times of day and days of the week that perform the best for you, which is really, really helpful. And you can also sort and filter to understand what kind of content is resonating with your audience. So that's a super helpful tool. And that kind of brings me to our last question. How do we measure success on Nextdoor, and what metrics really matter?
Sure. So we've got quantitative metrics and we got qualitative metrics. Quantitative metrics are how's the message performing. Qualitative are people taking actions. You saw that example as a result of our communications. I think one of the things you can also do is you can ask a poll like, are you satisfied with our communications? Is there something we're not doing, information that we're not providing to you? That's one thing you could do. The other thing is tie your communications to programmatic outcomes. Are you trying to get more people to sign up for the free family resource, right? And there's ways to use UTM codes to track those conversions, right? You put it at the end of your post, you have your registration. Where are people coming from, right? Are they coming from Nextdoor? Are they coming from Blue Sky, other platforms? I have no idea. But you'll see where that's happening, and you can say, hey, I spent this much time communicating, and as a result, 20 people signed up because of Nextdoor. That matters, right? Getting people to consume that program that you got the grant for, or to go get that free smoke detector, whatever that is what matters. So we have to remember to think, I guess what I'm trying to say is think outside the tool, think about that programmatic or business objective, and then tie those two together to determine if you're being successful.
Those real world outcomes.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, that is all the questions we have, so we're going to end it there. Again, if you'd like to learn more about Social News Desk and SND Archive, you can get in touch with us at sales@socialnewsdesk.com or visit socialnewsdesk.com/demo to get a free 2-week trial. And thank you all so much for your time and attention today. Joseph, thank you so much for all the great information. Always a pleasure to have you with us.
My pleasure, neighbor.
All right, thank you guys. Have a great rest of your day.